What's up, everybody? Happy Friday and welcome to the Early Edge. Wow, what a day we had yesterday. I don't even want to get to the recap screen first. Let's just talk about CBS Sports Network. That was a really fun show. If you watch that, all the best bets hit, or I should say the three MLB best bets hit from Mike McClure, Prop Stars, and the Maestro. But on this show yesterday, a losing record. We were 3-4-1. My golf matchup was the tie. That was the push with Robert McIntyre, of course, double bogeying the second to last hole. Sniper, he rocked it. He's going to be on the show with us today. The SportsLine picks don't come through. I don't come through on the Yankees' first five. That was a complete disaster. But we turned things around today. I see everybody in the chat. James Murphy, Brian Grebbins, Matt, Reed Phillips, Gregory Hill, Robert Page. Hit the like button if you can. Show us what picks you like today. But ladies and gentlemen, you know how we do it on Friday. It's all about big pick energy. All right. Well, listen, no Chip Patterson, but we have some excitement. Mike, distracted, of course, by his novel Buckets. I don't know what you were pointing at, and I don't know that you can replace Chip Patterson. I'm not asking you to, but you got to kick us off. What was that on your shirt?
Am I supposed to do the chip me up?
I mean, yes. Not really. It's tough. I'm not even asking you to do that.
The shirt says "ew people" and has a cat on it, so I'm on my edgier side today here, so I'm feeling good about that. Sia.
Mike McClure, are you a cat person? Yes or no?
I don't mind them. I don't have any issues with them. I'm not like attached to them by any means, but I've got a 92-pound dog sitting on my feet, so I'm more of a dog person for sure.
All right, Sniper, cat, yes or no?
Yeah, we have two. We used to have four, unfortunately, so the herd has been trimmed a little.
Wow. Okay, that's a surprise. Go ahead, Buckets.
I know that I can't give a chip me up, but I will give a quick live bet on Euros because the second half is kicking off.
Yes.
If you were watching Slovakia versus Ukraine, over 2.5 goals is currently plus 100, and I absolutely love that based on what we saw in the first half. Not the same as the chip me up, but a nice little live bet for the viewers right now.
And David Doc says, Chip is irreplaceable. Do not even try. David, that's so true. That's why we didn't even delve into those waters. But I think it would be funny to try if he's not with us next week. Sniper, I might delegate that to you. Just you can laugh your way through.
I'll say this. I've always thought that self-awareness is a very, very good quality. And one of the reasons I love Buckets is he knew he couldn't pull it off. I can't pull it off either.
Yeah, that's totally fair. All right. By the way, Bradley Jacobs says, I like both teams to score more than over 2.5, but good luck. I guess that's a response to you, Buckets. Well, I don't know. Maybe you can bet both. Buckets, go ahead.
It is. Both teams to score is minus 185, though. And so for me, if you want to greed that, I would wait till like the 55th minute to where that's minus 120. But that's why I'm taking the over instead.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, listen, before we get into the official picks and Buckets, you're going to start us off. I want to talk some home runs because that's how we're going to do it on Friday. We're going to go through home run props, and then I'm going to run through the BetMGM promo that is very appetizing, kind of particularly tonight with some of the weather that we might have, which Mike might get into later on in the show. Here are the SportsLine model picks, and you'll notice on this graphic, if you're watching us on YouTube, that not only do we have the BetMGM odds, but we have the SportsLine implied odds as well. So take that for what it's worth. You can kind of see where the edge is. We start with Gunnar Henderson, Royce Lewis, Santander, Alonso, Naylor. Sniper, I'm going to start with you. You went 2-0 yesterday. Any of these guys that you like, or is there somebody off the board that you prefer?
How about both? I love Royce Lewis. Wow, Reese. Wow, sorry. I love Royce Lewis here. 9 home runs in 15 games, and it seems like when he doesn't hit a home run, he flies out to the warning track. He's hitting deep fly balls. As long as we can keep this guy on the field, we've got an incredibly exciting baseball player. So I like Lewis here against Oakland. Also, I know it's going really, really far off the board, but Aaron Judge against Chris Sale, he's facing a lefty and he's at home. That's a good look as well.
Very interesting. All right. I've come to learn that we're not doing the dice today, which is probably best. So Buckets, I'm skipping over you. Mike McClure, anybody on this board or off the board that you prefer?
I'm going to go off the board, and I'm going to look at the Boston Red Sox here today, Sia. They're on the road in Cincinnati in your favorite ballpark, Great American Small Park. It is the easiest place to hit a home run in Major League Baseball, and that is it's true for both left and right-handed hitters, but especially true for left-handed hitters. Just absolutely incredible numbers. So for me, it's going to be Devers plus 333 over on BetMGM right now. And then if you want to sprinkle a second one, he only has 4 home runs this season, but David Hamilton, I think this is an interesting spot for him. Probably down in the lineup a little further, should be around plus 800, plus 750 to plus 800. But I like the lefties for Boston, which there's likely only 3 of them in the lineup today against Abbott. But I do like Red Sox to score. Beautiful hitting conditions, very low air density, just ballpark in general. Give me Rafi Devers.
By the way, speaking of home runs, Mike, it seems to me that the conditions for this Diamondbacks game are pretty ripe against the Phillies. Is that somewhere where people are looking? Now, granted, the odds might be low as a result when it comes to home run props, but I noticed the total was pretty high. I believe the wind is blowing out, at least moderately. I could be wrong there, and it's obviously very hot as well. Any thoughts in that Phillies game?
Yeah, definitely decent conditions overall. Humidity's up there just enough, 88 to 90 degrees. As far as the air density reading, it's like it's 61. I typically, when it becomes like really noteworthy, is anytime it dips into the 50s. So it's fringe. It's like it's a good environment overall. Should see some run scoring with those 2 pitchers as well.
Okay. Speaking of run scoring and speaking of home runs, let's talk about our kind of weekend MGM promo when it comes to home run props. BetMGM customers have a chance to cash in big on homers this season. BetMGM customers can place a $10 or more wager on any player to hit a home run every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And if that player hits a grand slam on that day, they can win the $50,000 daily prize or a share of the prize with every other winning bettor. Log into the BetMGM app for more details. All right, we got to get into our best bets. We're going to do it now. By the way, paying homage to buckets, Rick Funcannon says Soler. Very interesting for a home run.
The Giants don't play today.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's funny. Okay, they played last night. I don't think Soler did anything. Did he do anything in that game, Sniper? I'm trying to remember. Sorry, I'm catching you off guard.
He hit a grand slam against the Cubs 2 days ago.
There we go. All right,
last
so
night,
the Soler magic is coming back, Buckets.
Yes.
Maybe next Friday. That's the play. Buckets, before you get into your official pick, Joseph Rackett asks Buckets, both teams to score, France, Netherlands.
I would be very careful of that game. I'm actually purposely not betting on that matchup because it's 2 teams where a draw is an okay result for both of them. If that ended 0-0, as boring as that would be for us, the viewers, that would be a really good result for both of these teams that know that they have no problem finishing up this group in 1 and 2. There's a lot of goal-scoring talent, but there's also a lot of good defensive talent. So I'd be very, very careful betting that one. I personally am going nowhere near that matchup.
All right. Well, you do like a both teams to score play just on a different game. And I don't want to forget, Brian Grebbins doesn't usually put picks in here. So I'm going to say White Sox Tigers, no run first inning. That's his pick. There's a lot of picks I need to get to as well. But you have a play, Buckets. What is it?
I do see it. But first, I just want to say I appreciate Rick doing his best Buckets impression by picking a guy who's not even playing. That is very Bucket-esque. So, Rick, I appreciate you, brother. Let's talk about Poland versus Austria. This is the other game taking place in Group D where Netherlands and France are dominating. And this is a game that is tough because both teams have only played 1 match so far in Euros, and this is already a must-win for both sides. If either of these teams lose outright, they are done. They're out of Euros. Their journey is over. They have to do something here, which means this is another matchup where a draw doesn't really help either side here, kind of the opposite of France versus Netherlands. I'm taking both teams to score because it's priced at minus 105, and I would have given this out at minus 120, minus 125. These are just 2 teams that have too much to play for right now, and 2 teams whose offenses vastly excel and are better than their defenses. Not to mention Poland, who are the underdogs and are the ones that are expected probably not to score in this matchup. Welcome back Robert Lewandowski, who missed the first game. He is the best striker, not only for this country, but one of the best strikers on the planet. The morale boost you get when Lewandowski is in your lineups should be enough for Poland to sneak this one. I would actually stay away from this over because this could end 1-1, but both teams to score in a game with this much just desperation in the air is something I will take every single time, Sia.
All right. Love the play. Love the juice, minus 105. By the way, David Talk updates us on Jorge Soler. He hit a long double last night. Okay, so he's getting there. Let's get to, and by the way, Kalo the Rockstar, he says, good morning, family. Good morning back to you again. If you haven't hit the like button, please go ahead and do that. And Moshi says, I have the White Sox no-run first inning as well. I know Moshi is absolutely killing it with his picks, so pay attention, family. All right, Sportsline picks. We've got a big game in hockey tonight. This is really interesting. Mike, you and I were on CBS Sports Network yesterday talking a lot about this game. I also spoke with Mackenzie Brooks a lot about this Oilers game. I'm hoping, I'm actually pulling for the Panthers a little bit because this would be an embarrassing meltdown. But I know you have the future, Mike, on the Oilers. Sportsline likes the Oilers tonight, -118. That's on the money line. Again, this game is at 8 o'clock tonight. It's game 6. If Edmonton forces a game 7, this goes back to Florida. That should be very, very interesting. Mike, quick commentary here, because just to recap, people might not understand what the Conn Smythe is about. You clarified that on CBS Sports Network yesterday. Can you just talk to us about, you can talk to us about this game if you want, but the way hockey does what we think of as like a finals MVP, they do it a little differently. Can you explain that?
Definitely. And for the future, notice we cover a lot more hockey on CBS Sports HQ nightly. So if you guys like that kind of coverage, definitely tune in that hour. Starts at 6 p.m. Eastern. But the Conn Smythe Award is a body of work award. It is an MVP award for the entire Stanley Cup playoffs. It does not have to be given to a player whose team that wins the Stanley Cup Finals. We've actually got a situation here where Connor McDavid is going to win the Conn Smythe, whether or not the Oilers win the cup. I think that the only scenario Bob comes back and wins it is if Florida wins like a 2-0 shutout tonight and just completely shuts out Edmonton. But McDavid, 8 points in the last 2 games, by far has been what we all know him to be. So I do think that we're likely looking at a game 7 here. Definitely the side that I lean to with Edmonton.
Yeah, very interesting the way they do that. Buckets, do we have an update in the Ukraine game?
We do. So Ukraine did score, which means Bradley did hit his both teams to score, but it also means that live over 2.5 goals that was just plus 100 is now minus 300 on BetMGM. So a good start for anyone that got on that live.
Absolutely love it. Okay. Great job, Bradley Jacobs, says James Murphy. All right, let's see. We've got to get to Sniper's 2 Major League Baseball picks. We got to get to my golf pick, and then Mike, you have a pick in a game that I think a lot of people are excited about because we may see a lot of runs. But before we get anywhere, let's hear a message from our partners. Man, I love this chat so much. Rick Fun Cannon says, buckets with 4 exclamation points. I got over 2.5 goals at plus 145 right before the second goal was scored with another 4 exclamation points. Taylor Hart says, I just took that both teams to score 2 minutes ago. LOL, FT boost as well. Love to see that. All right, Sniper, 2-0 yesterday. I believe before you gave out your picks yesterday, I mentioned to you that others had gone 2-0 in some context and that there was no pressure. I need you to go 2-0 as well. And you did. So I don't know. Can you do it again?
I was channeling Willie Mays, just not feeling pressure, stepping up when it's the big time of the year, which I don't know about that. It's not the big time of year, but we're going to go 2-0 again today. I'm going to start in Miami. Yesterday we faded the Mariners and that worked. This time we're going to back the Mariners. I'm going with George Kirby to get a win. It's only minus 105. This was we're just basically trying to say the Mariners are going to win the game, right? We're picking the Mariners over the Marlins. The odds on just the straight up money line would not be near as good as the minus 105 here. Kirby is very likely to get deep into the game against a very bad Marlins offense. And the Marlins won their last 2 games with walk-offs. The Mariners have lost 3 in a row. The Mariners are the better team. So I'm looking for a little bit of some evening out here. Kirby, 1.50 ERA in his last 4 starts with 27 strikeouts and only 3 walks. He's looking really, really good, kind of like last year when he was an all-star. He does have bad road splits, but he's actually been very good in his last 2 road starts. So I think that's going to continue to even out here. And again, the Marlins have one of the worst offenses in baseball. They have not seen him in over a year. Last time they did see him was June 13th last year, and he dominated them. On the other side, Trevor Rogers for the Marlins. The Marlins are, believe this, 1-13 in his starts this season. So we're going to go with George Kirby to grab the W here. Also going to go to Houston, and we're going to follow the Orioles from the Bronx. We had over on the Orioles-Yankees game, thanks solely to the Orioles with 17 runs. We got over that one in a hurry. We're going to follow them to Houston. Jake Bloss on the mound for the Astros, making his Major League Baseball debut. He has not even pitched in AAA. He's only been in Class A and AA this year. The Orioles are one of baseball's best offenses, if not the best. Really like the Orioles here. Only have to get over 4.5. They average 5.57 runs on the road this season. And the Astros have used their best 3 relievers 2 consecutive days. They can go to a third day, obviously, but there might be a little fatigue there if they have to get into the bullpen early behind the kid making his Major League debut, facing one of baseball's best offenses.
Yeah, that Yankees-Orioles game. I mean, you were on the right side of that, so we kind of evened out a little bit, but that was over so early for me. I was just happy that I didn't lay the juice on the money line because I lost it like fantastically, but at least I lost it at -120 versus -170, whatever it closed at. But I got to say, ice cold in baseball this week, so hopefully I can turn it around next week. Go ahead, Mike McClure.
Yeah, I was just say, if you watch that Yankees-Orioles game with a younger pitcher like Luis Gil like that, I honestly wonder, just that first inning spiraled out of control a bit when Juan Soto misplayed the very first pitch of the game. So it was the first pitch of the game, raked for what should have been an easy out, routine out, becomes a double. Soto just completely misreads it. It's almost like he wasn't expecting any action on the first pitch of the game. And I personally think that bothered Luis Gil a lot. So I personally also think he's going to be fine. I think I'm looking to back him in his next start big time.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Soto seems to have some lapses here and there, I've noticed over his career, but maybe I'm just reading into it a little bit too much. All right, so I just told you I've been a little ice cold in baseball, but I blame Juan Soto. Mike, I subscribe to your theory. We would have won that bet. All right, that's a little too far. But golf, that's where I'm headed now. Yesterday, there's even a question in the chat about the Bobby Mack matchup. We ended up pushing. We were up 2 strokes with 2 holes left, and Bobby Mack very curiously put it in the water out of the bunker. It was just a very strange decision by him. Either way, we end up pushing that matchup. There's a question as to whether we should run it back because that starts in 7 minutes. Bobby Mack versus Jake Knapp. I don't like it enough to pay the -135. If you want to take it, that's fine. I do expect Bobby Mack to be better today, but Jake Knapp wasn't as bad yesterday as I anticipated. Granted, that's just one day, not a big deal. I still like Bobby Mack over Jake Knapp if you want to take that in the next now 6 minutes. But again, -135 seems like that should be like -120, in my opinion, -125 after what I saw yesterday. I don't like that the juice went deeper because remember, we played that at -130 yesterday. But my pick for today starts in 2 hours. It's JT Poston over Jason Day. JT Poston has pretty good history here. I shouldn't say great history here, but he's had a really top finish here. Jason Day's been okay here as well. But if you look at the metrics over the last, let's say 6 to 8 tournaments, Poston is really posting some good metrics and posting some good finishing positions. Whereas Jason Day, to the extent he's posting good finishing positions, it's all because of the putter, which, don't get me wrong, will absolutely help him here. But Poston's been pretty good with the putter as well. But you look at everything else Poston has been doing, he's been good with the ball striking too. And Jason Day has been completely lost with the ball striking. So over 18 holes, I really expect JT Poston to prevail here. I'll note this. This was 120 over Jason Day. It was -120 at pretty much all sports books when it opened. At a lot of them now, it's -135. Like DraftKings, for example, it's -135. But at BetMGM, as of 30 minutes ago, this was still -120. So again, this is a really good example of why you should shop your lines, because in some books, it might open at the same number, but for whatever reason, it's changing at one book and not at the other. So right now at DraftKings, it's -135, but at BetMGM, it's still -120, unless that's changed over the last 15 minutes. So just something to keep in mind, another good reason to join BetMGM along with whatever other books you are using. So that's my round two ball. Now, Mike McClure, there's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of chatter in the chat about this Phillies game. I think it's so enticing just from a run scoring potential standpoint. We got two very average pitchers on the mound, and I'm being kind with average, I think. I saw Big Easy likes the over in that game, but you're not on the over. You're not on a home run prop in that game. You're on a side. What is it?
Yeah, I'm going to back the Phillies here today, Sia. I played this last night, minus 134. I have them winning 61% of the time. That implies this line should be minus 156, almost a 4% edge. Pretty good this point of the season in Major League Baseball. For me, when I look at this Phillies team, they're actually great against left-handed pitching, and that might be surprising to some. Just you think about platoon advantages, you think about some of the Phillies' best hitters, it's the two lefties in Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber, but they still crush left-handed pitching. Now you add in Trey Turner, who has returned to the lineup. I think that's going to be a great thing for them against the lefties, breaking up Harper and Schwarber. This team, again, third in weighted on base average against the Southpaws. I expect them to essentially be the best team against lefties if Harper and Schwarber continue what they're doing. But for me, it's picking on Montgomery a little bit. I think there's a reason that he went unsigned for so long, frankly. He has not been sharp at all this season. The lowest K rate of his career, has really struggled against right-handed hitting. Makes sense as a left-handed pitcher, but really bad. We're talking 400 weighted on base average, well below the league average. Not good when you couple that with a really poor strikeout rate. So for me, I'm going to be backing the Phillies here. Again, I think this should be minus 156. Love them in this particular spot after a day off.
Mike, let me ask you this, because there's a lot of people, and again, the line is accounting for the fact that the pitchers are what they are and the weather is what it is. But Big Cheesy, for example, Kirk Schroyer, they're leaning towards, well, I'm sure they're leaning towards your pick, but also the Phillies team total over 4.5. And Sniper, I'm going to go to you next. Is this something we should stay away from and just take the edge that you have on the side? Or is that something you potentially, as a lean, add on to your play?
I think it's totally, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'd be great with the offense taking the over 4.5 there. But go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so I do like them to score runs, clearly. Generally speaking, home teams, I'm not backing team totals as aggressively as if I like them to win the game as much. You're just literally forfeiting the 3 outs, which could be a big deal. So generally speaking, if I'm playing a team total like that and a home team total, and it's very correlated to starting pitching, that's when I would look at first 5 and first 7 team totals, where you're still guaranteed the full complement of outs, that are assigned to that market. So for me, if you were backing the Phillies, I personally would look probably at a first 7 team total. There are a few sports books that do allow a first 7. That's where my interest would be there.
Yeah, and I haven't gotten into the first 7 market. I know Amags has touched upon that market as well. That makes a lot of sense. Again, guaranteeing you the outs that you're getting in 7 innings versus the potential 9 with the home team. There was also a question about golf. Kathy014 says, Poston over Bradley or Cameron Young over Jason Day. I got to be honest, I don't like either of those. It's just I don't see there's any edge there. But if you have a pick that you want to tweet at me or message me, I'm happy to answer your messages, because I know different sports books have different matchups. I will say, because this is a signature event, most sports books are consistent with their matchups. At least the major ones appear to be by my eye. But if you have something that you want to ask me about, please feel free to tweet at me, and I'll do my best to get back to you. All right, let's take a look. Oh, go ahead, Matt, go ahead.
I was going to throw one more thing in there. David in the chat brought up George Kirby under half walk. So basically just no walks is plus 150. Just to walk one guy sounds like, okay, you're probably definitely going to walk somebody. But this is intriguing to me, because the Marlins have the lowest walk rate in the league by a decent margin. And Kirby has only walked 9 guys in over 86 innings this year, and he hardly ever walks anybody. So that is actually intriguing to me. So if you like gambling, and I know everybody here does like gambling, you've got plus money on that. That's a decent look.
Sniper, do you do any K props? I certainly
don't.
I
have before.
Okay, because Brian Grebbins and it was somebody else, Jason Pog, was seen to like Cutter Crawford over 5.5 Ks. I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. Any opinion on that one?
They're in Cincinnati, right?
I believe so.
There's a lot of offense coming in that game. So, and 5.5 is a high number. I think I would go under that, if anything.
Okay. So if you're looking at the over, maybe that one is a stay
I
away.
could, you could see him getting over, but you could also see him getting shelled in the first couple innings and not lasting very long.
All right. And Big Cheesy says Bobby Witt Jr. 3+ total bases at plus 146. David Talk says, thanks, Sniper. All right. Let's thank Sniper as well for going 2-0 again. A little bit of foreshadowing. Let's take a look at the recap screen. Sniper, George Kirby to record a win at -105, and Orioles team total over 4.5 at -120. Travelers, I'm going with the matchup. Hopefully we don't get a push or a loss. Let's get a win. JT posted -120 over Jason Day. Again, shop your lines. BetMGM has the best price right now. Buckets, Poland, Austria, both teams to score -105. And Mike McClure's on the Phillies money line -134. Finally, hockey tonight. I encourage everybody, even if you're not a hockey fan, this game 6 is going to feel like a game 7. I promise you that. And you will feel the intensity, whether you watch the NHL or not. Check this game out. We're checking out the Oilers money line -118. James Murphy, you appear to be a member of SportsLine because you're repping out a play from Prop Stars. Again, folks, if you want to be a member of SportsLine, it's so incredibly easy. Go to sportsline.com/join. You get 60% off the annual plan. All you got to do is type in winners as the promo code. Again, that's winners as the promo code, and you'll be a member of SportsLine. You'll get all these picks that James Murphy is referencing, but you also get the simulations from Mike McClure when it comes to golf. You'll get the articles from me and Eric Cohen and Patrick McDonald. You'll get all the picks that all of the SportsLine experts put out in any form whatsoever. A very easy join, a very inexpensive join. Join that part of the family as well. Thanks for being in here, though. Thanks for hitting the like button. Thanks for all the participation. Really appreciate everybody. Let's have an amazing Friday. On behalf of Jake the Snake, all the 1s and 2s and 11s and 12s, Mike McClure, the Sniper, and Buckets. This is the Early Edge. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm the Counselor of Cash. We rest our case.